Hey, how's it going everyone? Here with, I think it's gonna be one of the best figures of 2022, and that is Krillin, Earth's Strongest Man. Yeah, so this is the very first retail release for 2022, coming straight after Kefla, who came out earlier this week from Premium Bandai in Japan. So being a retail release, we don't have that Premium Bandai web exclusive logo on the box at all, but we do have the gold Toei sticker. So keep in mind, if you are purchasing this in another region, you'll have a different colour there. We also have a Tamashii Quality Nation sticker on the front. If you are new to these figures, for the latest releases, that is one way to tell if it's a legitimate figure or not. But yeah, if we swing around to the back, got a nice selection of poses of him there, with the accessories he comes with, and he does come with a lot of accessories, which is fantastic. So yeah, let's just jump straight in and get him out of his box. Okay, so just like Kefla, he's stacked with accessories, and he has his destructo disc in a separate plastic wrap at the back. But going down, what he does come with, obviously in the centre we've got the man himself, Krillin, and then we've got the 3 additional heads. We've got the open mouth shocked face, the kind of teeth gritting, and then the wide open mouth look. The base face is the kind of what would you call that, the stoic kind of stern stare that he does. And then down for his hands, he's got an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sets of hands. Now the bottom and the top ones are the same pose, however the bottom ones have a peg-hole for his destructo disc effect. And then you've got like the ones for his, what was it called? Solar flare, there we go. So the solar flare hands, and yeah, and then just the martial arts grip ones and the Kamehameha grips that you normally do get. However, I think one of my favourite parts for this figure is the fist clenching the sensu bag. So yeah, that's really cool to finally get in a one of these figure releases. So yeah, that's everything he comes with, which is actually quite a bit for a retail release, which is awesome to see. So yeah, let's pop him out of his plastic coffin. Okay, so we've got him out of his packaging now, and as he swings around we'll be able to check out some of those key differences with this mould. Something that I hope we do see going forward with future Goku, Gohan, Vegeta releases and so forth. But the main difference is this chest area, we've got a nice big curve coming up and around the shoulders. The shoulders is pretty similar to what we did see on the Super Saiyan 4 Goku. However, we'll get into the construction of the shoulder a little bit more towards the articulation side of this video, because it is pretty unique. But as he does swing around here, we do have a nice big curve on the back as well, and this does give him a great range of articulation, a bit more flexibility and movement there, which is really cool. His overall finish is just the solid orange plastic. It could be a little bit more vibrant, but the colouring isn't too bad. I do actually quite like it overall. And then he has that nice deep dark blue inner shirt and belt. Now the front flaps here of his belt, they do move, though his belt itself is actually part of his waist, so it is just painted on. So that was something that's a little bit different. I didn't quite expect. I can't expect a fully floating belt like most other figures. The boots and the paint job all the way down there looks really nice. You've got the brown, I guess his shoelaces or boot laces, and then a nice blue on the trim there, and then his actual feet are grey on the bottom. So yeah, I think the paint job there is looking really nice, and again with the faces as well, which we'll go over when we check out each one individually. So yeah, let's just jump in and do the articulation now. So starting with his head, yeah, look at that, nice forward tilt, okay, back tilt, it could go back a little bit further. Yeah, a bit more limited there, but going forward it is really nice. He does have some pretty good left and right tilting action too. Actually, I'll show you now, but yeah, look at that. Very different and unique head design, and his neck, at least on this one, it doesn't really move too much. I think it would have been nice if we could have had some more neck articulation in there. Maybe this one's just a bit tight. Maybe after a bit more playing around it could loosen up a little bit more. But you do have the 1-2 points of articulation on the neck. So if you are struggling to get into the right position, you can always just pop off the head and adjust it slightly. So there we go. Now we've removed that a little bit, he does get back a little bit further. Okay, jumping down to his shoulders. Now, unlike, I guess it is pretty similar to other figures, but it seems like there's a double joint. There's one on the deep inside there, so that's where the orange part moves, and then his blue section is independent again. So you can get that double jointed action going on, so you can kind of move him up and around independently, which is quite nice. Oh. Okay, if you want to have a closer look while his arm is off, so his arm just pops straight in there. So you can see the blue section goes all the way through, and then you've got the skin tone which clips over top, and then I think this slots in underneath the orange area. Just pop that back on. Okay, I got his shoulder back on. That wasn't too bad. So yeah, as you can see, nice stretching out, really good elbow flexibility or articulation as well, like usual. So depending on which way the joint is facing, you can swivel this around, so that way you get more, I guess, inward motion. You can swivel it around. So if you try and bend it that way, the shoulder plastic will stop it, but if you swivel this around to where the circle cut is, you can get forward a lot further, which is really good. So it is kind of fiddly having those double joints, but this is quite nice soft rubbery plastic, so just a little bit of extra work than normal, but you can get into some great poses, which is really good. Okay, jumping down to his waist now. Yeah, so as I said earlier, that extra curve there allows him to kind of bend forward a bit further than most other figures. At least it's easier to bend forward, and then going back as well, you can kind of get a decent arch going on. Definitely nowhere near as good as the recent Kefla figure. That was one of her strong points, was that back arch. But moving down, his gi flaps on the front here of the ties will swivel around nicely. However, as I did mention earlier, the actual belt is a solid piece along with his crotch and buttocks area. But speaking of that region, let's check out his articulation. Check that out. That is insane. I think this is probably the best figure we've had in terms of being able to do the splits. Even better than Vegeta, sorry, not Vegeta, Piccolo, the previous one that came out. And yeah, then you can kind of angle the feet as well to get him kind of facing down. That is extremely good. His leg will swivel around as well, and then got the nice knee joint as well. I will point out that my kneecap here does come off easily. I just put a little bit of blue tack to keep it on. Either they didn't put enough glue on it in the factory, or maybe the peg hole is a little bit loose. The other side, no issues. So if you do get one that has a slightly loose kneecap, you can just either put a little blue tack there to keep it on, or you can just glue it back on. It's no real issue at all. So moving down to his feet, yeah, these again have a nice big ball peg in there. Swivels around, you can kind of get the nice left and right action going on too. And the toe tip feels really nice. Sometimes these figures have a really tough and tight toe tip joint, but these ones, yeah, they move easily. I mean, everything about this figure is absolutely amazing actually. It feels really nice, it feels really good. I think it's one of the better Dragon Ball figures we've had in a long time. So yeah, let's move over to the faces. So this is the slightly frowning one. It's got some nice colouring there, nice line work. One thing that's quite different from the original is that this one goes with the skin colour behind the eyes, opposed to colouring it white. I'm happy with either or version. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the no white or the white behind the eyes? Yeah, let me know below. But yeah, as we saw earlier, unique design for the head. It's basically a cylinder barrel. And makes it super easy to change heads, which is something that I'm always thankful for. So to just slot the new one on, all you have to do as well, just push it over that big peg, and yeah, nice and simple. And check out this face, I love it. It's been nice shot kind of cowering behind the rock face he has. He's got the nice 6 dimples on his head. Yeah, everything about this head is great. I don't have any issues at all. The next head we have is the open mouth screaming face. So this is good for doing the Kamehameha pose or destructive disc. And these ones as well have that kind of drum as with pegs. So again, nice and easy to get off. You don't have to fiddle around with putting the stick deep into his head. And finally we have the slightly looking to the left face with the teeth gritting, and again this here looks really nice. So super simple to change. Pop it off a peg, pop the head off, and slot the new one on. Just to cut back to the articulation point, since I had his head off, I just had a bit more of a play with his neck, and with a bit more force you can get it moving. So at least for mine it is a bit tight at first, but I assume the more you use it, the easier it'll be to move around. So you can get it twisting left and right as well as going forward and back. Switching the hands is pretty easy. He's got the, I guess, the usual standard peg that you would expect in a hand. The hands switch on and off really easily actually, and this is his hand for his effect. So we've got the peg hole, got the peg on the disc. Just line them up and just push it on, and yeah, there we go. We have him with his Destructo disc. It's just really nice and easy, and it looks really good as well. I think it's definitely an improvement over the original. So for a bit of a size comparison here, we have the 1.0 Krillin release along with the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku. So just having a look at this straight away, we can see that the new Krillin is the shortest of the three. Though he isn't too much shorter than the original, but the main difference between those two is that the new one is definitely a lot more kind of stockier. He's built a lot bigger than the original, whereas the original one is just kind of a lot more slender and kind of just like a normal sized person, just I guess shorter. Whereas Krillin actually looks like he's kind of someone that's short and pretty bulky and buff, which is really cool to see. Now compared to Goku, yeah, I mean the top of Krillin's head is basically just below the shoulder line of the Goku. I think that lines up pretty well. And in terms of colouring, his gi is definitely a slightly different orange. I almost would have liked them to have gone with the same, I guess, I'm not sure if it's a difference in plastic or just the colouring, but I feel like the colour on the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku is really nice. I'm not sure which one is more accurate, but just from a personal preference, I do prefer the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku orange. Now between the new one and the old Krillin, the red on the original, blue on the new, and then obviously the colour difference, and then the blue is a different shade as well, and then obviously the old one has the white eyes. And then he does have a kind of full-on 1.0 style body weathering painting, which is quite nice, though I think I do kind of prefer the colouring of the new one. But yeah, for the 1.0 vs 2.0, in the future I'll do a bit more of a more in-depth comparison review between those down the line. So if there's something you're interested in, yeah, just let me know below. So yeah, that brings us to the pros and cons for this figure, and just a straight up, the main pro is the articulation. I mean, look at him, he's in this pose, he's not stuck down at all, he's balancing beautifully, he's got his leg right up on a fantastic angle, he's just absolutely amazing in that regard. I hope they continue that for the rest of the line. Now the next part that I absolutely love is his sensu bag there. That is a great addition. I hope we do get a similar hand for Goku, and hopefully we get, well, Bean Daddy himself, Yajirobe. Hopefully he has a release this year. That would be fantastic, especially if he came with some loose beans as well. The printing of his logos are really nice and clean, though I have noticed on my one they are slightly angled. I'm not sure if that's intentional or if it will just vary slightly from figure to figure, so that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, if you're after exact perfection, you might need to go through a few figures. The faces look really nice, and I love that new design for switching the head, though part of that is going to be a con, because I was really hoping we could use this body with the Gohan heads as well. I will have to dig him out, he's boxed up at the moment, but when I do get the chance I will go through and see if there is any way to use his head with this body though, because that would make it a really simple way to get that earlier, was it Training with Piccolo look for Gohan, which would be pretty cool. Now into the cons. Yeah, I can't think of a con for this figure for me. He's not the cheapest though, I guess. He is about, what, 5,500 yen roughly. So it's a bit more expensive for a retail release, but he does come with a lot of accessories. He's got his Destructo disc, he does have his beans. Yeah, so I think the price point is probably about right. It would have been cool to come with a Kamehameha effect, or maybe a stand, but that's not a huge con either. Though if I was going to get real picky, I have noticed his blue paint on his inner chest there does have a slight mark, so I think that could rub off kind of easily if you're not careful. And I think maybe the belt, if it was loose, I think that would have been quite nice. Just being stuck on stationary does give you a few limits, when they could have easily gone with a usual loose rubber one. If I got even further picky, where the arms connect up to the shoulder, that peg could have been a little bit bigger. It came off without too much force earlier. That was a little bit fiddly to reattach, though again it wasn't like it broke. It just dismantled like they're meant to, the way they're assembled. So again, not a huge issue. And his neck is a little bit stiff, but again they'll probably vary slightly from figure to figure. And after a bit of use, it should come right like mine is now. So yeah, I mean, 2022, whew, we're going to have a lot of competition, I'm guessing. We do have Dodoria, Zarbon, all the movie range. Gohan especially is looking really good, since I believe he does have the Super Saiyan 4 new waist and leg design. So he could be a contender for the top figure for 2022, and then after that, who knows what we'll get. But so far, Krillin, not only is he the world's strongest, he is definitely the top figure for 2022 so far. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about this badass Krillin, if you're looking forward to him or not, and also who else do you want them to release in the line. For me, my pick is going to be Yajirobe. I'd love to see him, so yeah, let me know what you are after. Also, there will be extra photos on rockchala.com, 360 images, and I'll also be posting some of those on Instagram too, so you can check them out there. And more importantly, if you want a cool place to come talk about figure arts, or Dragon Ball SHF in particular, join us on Discord. Great community. We talk about the collections, latest releases, show off collections, and we do have other figure areas as well. There is a join link below, so don't be shy, come and join us. And yeah, so that does bring us to the end of this video, so thank you very much for watching, and until next time, cheers!